Hello everybody, this is Prashant and I will be taking this session on iVend dashboards. So if everybody is comfortable and put on their headsets, we can start now. Right, so start off in the usual fashion. We will have the agenda points and then I'll use these PPTs only as a prop. We will be toggling back and forth between the PowerPoint and the management consoles, which will be the primary conduit of display of the dashboards and their functionality. And I'll just move on to the agenda points so that we can have a look at what we will be covering today. Okay, here's the agenda. We'll have a small, very small actually, background on dashboards in general. Then we will move on to dashboards in iVend in particular and look at what is available in terms of functionality for viewing, as well as later on in editing and creating dashboards from scratch. So let's move on to our first content slide out here. So dashboards. As you can, I've just copied something from Wikipedia, which is a very generic definition of dashboards, and namely business dashboards in particular, which is an easy to read, often single page real-time user interface showing a graphical presentation of the current status, snapshot, and historical trend of an organization, KPIs to enable instantaneous and informed decision to be made at a glance. Now, this is a very generic definition. Businesses, enterprises create or have created dashboards by a third party for their unique needs. They like state it can be real-time user interface. Most of the cases they are not, because you typically required a data source from a transaction system which should not burden the transaction system to the extent that the core need of the business, which is handling transactions and actually assimilating the business data flow into an automated system, is not harmful. So they might be real time, they might not be real time, they might be a days old, they might even be a months old. As you can see on the right hand side, there are snapshots. Most of our CTX's community will be very well aware of what I'm showing right now. These are iView dashboards. The one on top is the executive dashboard, which carries financial information as well as sales, purchase information running from SAP Business Fund dataset, and the bottom one is the iVend Analytics or iView Retail dashboard, which handles data from iVend Retail Enterprise dataset. These are built upon on a technology which is you might be knowing, so let's not get into it. What I'm trying to enunciate out here is the concept which is listed out here, which is standalone or integrated. Now dashboards can be standalone, meaning that they are running on a system which is delineated from your core transaction system. So they will obviously reference the data set which the transaction system generates on a second, minutes, day-wise basis, but they will not be integrated directly with your core system. The obvious advantages can be that you can create a separate data warehouse and take a periodic snapshot, and the system will not affect adversely your core system. But on the flip side also, since they are not integrated in the system, then users needs to be managed separately, as well as the functionality may or may not be available at all points of time or directly, and obviously there will be a substantial cost involved. Like when we talk about iView, you need to buy a server, you need to deploy the system, you need to create user, you need to configure the system, and any kind of modification is obviously taken up on that development platform. Whereas if the system had been integrated, the users on that transaction system itself could have gone ahead while they are handling transaction at a day or at any given point of time, can run those dashboards and fetch the data. So basic delineation, system can be standalone, or the system can be integrated. Other key points that basically spring out of the definition is that you try to create dashboards to look at graphical presentation. Tabular reports are extremely effective in terms of, let's say, day-end reporting, or you want to have a kind of a ledger for a printout or something. But if you want to have a one snapshot, suppose a manager comes in and he wants to look at, okay, what are my sales doing in terms of trend analysis, or how am I selling, or what is my inventory snapshot as of now. A graphical representation where you can visualize which is up, which is down, which is at the highest point, which is at the lower, it's much more beneficial in terms of acceptance and then subsequently triggering the decision-making mechanism. So dashboards are primarily designed. There are multiple philosophies prevalent throughout the world. Many of the dashboards, like for example, which are in insurance industries, are typically tabular in nature. The only consideration that they make is they can have smileys or up and down arrows or red or green or blue pointers to isolate or identify or basically highlight a certain data points. But generally in our sector, or as well as any sector which primarily drives from movements of goods or movements of services, the gradual trend has been towards graphical representation, and let's keep the report in a report builder like Crystal report or any kind of CAN report intent that we already have. So moving further on, let's not delve too much upon what dashboards are in general or something. People have seen dashboards. We obviously use it on a day-to-day basis for performance analysis. So let's get into what is present in iVend. So let's look at the key points out here. Integrated. So obviously it will reside somewhere in the iVend scheme of things, and out here it will be on the management console. Pre-built. Pre-built dashboards means that there is a set of dashboards which have been created by the iVend development team, and they have been vetted in terms of their accuracies, and they correspond to these three basic areas of information. One is multidimensional sales performance appraisal. Multidimensional means there will be dashboards which will be running by period, will be running by stores, and so on and so forth. Sales performance, obviously, they will reflect somewhere net sales or quantity being sold out here. Appraisal is obviously now for the end user to actually look at this information and appraise the organization performance in general and product performance or sales performance in particular. Merchandise hierarchy analysis. Merchandise hierarchy is a recent entrant into iVend functionality scope, where you create a retail merchandise hierarchy to effectively administer product and then subsequently look at their performance. A simple example can be you can break down your apparel hierarchy into by gender, by fabric, by size, and so on and so forth. So for better understanding of a particular here a product hierarchy created for better understanding of its performance, its breadth, and any kind of shortfalls which might be visible into in terms of when the report actually comes out. Whereas if you are actually looking at simply by just deleting everything by product group and then subsequently into product, you might create let's say men's casual wear or something like that, and then you can create products out here, but they will miss out on the nuances which can be effectively tackled if you have got a hierarchy which has got all the possible attributes built into it, so that at the let's say from a single from a simple three-tier hierarchy to a massive 15-tier hierarchy, you can effectively administer each and every facet of your business or that particular product line, since I'm taking that example, and look at its performance on a trend-wise basis, on a snapshot basis, and so on and so forth. Inventory status, very simple. You already have this kind of reporting directly built into a CAN reporting in iVend Retail, but here the report might be Obviously, since we are taking this view that a visual report is much better than a tabular report, it will be visual in nature. So these are the three broad areas in which the pre-built dashboards are delineated under iVend. Okay, we got something listed out as dashboard viewer. So obviously, since these are the reports that are pre-built, you need a mechanism to actually view it. You use a dashboard viewer under iVend to actually open up any of the pre-existing reports and view them. They also provide you functionality of filtering data as well as exporting data into a PDF or as an image for use in a presentation, for an internal presentation which you want to make to a top management out there, and so on and so forth. Dashboard web viewer. Obviously, it will be running on through a web browser. We will talk about when we go to that particular specifics, that what do you actually require for it to run. Okay, dashboard designer. Since we are also considering in this particular session of looking at a particular dashboard and possibly modifying it, so it begs to state that dashboard designer will come into fore. We will pick up an existing dashboard, we'll try to modify it to a certain extent to ingrain greater capability into the same, as well as we will build a very small specification dashboard from scratch under the dashboard designer, which will obviously be integrated under iVend. So let's move on. This was an overview of what our functionality in terms of viewing as well as creating is available under iVend. So a recap is these iVend has an integrated dashboard engine which comes with a set of pre-built dashboards which the end users can deploy, and as long as data is there to back it up, can start using it from day one, as well as power users or clients which have got express interest in creating something which is not already present. If they've got the capability in terms of some kind of database management skills and scripting skills might be required under dashboard designer. We will look at it when we actually go ahead and use them. Can go ahead and build by themselves or ask an IT team to actually go ahead and design for them. So moving on. Okay, dashboard viewer and dashboard web viewer. Okay, dashboard viewer is for viewing pre-built and custom dashboard. Custom means that you might have created a dashboard from scratch, you've given a unique name and identifier for yourself, so you can use this viewer to you can utilize this viewer to look at pre-built as well as custom dashboards. Pre-built dashboards can also be modified, which we will get into. Okay, user-wise restriction. We just since I mentioned from the very start that we will toggle between the PPT as well as the management console. So I will log on to the management console out here. The first thing is I've opened up reports. You can see that the CAN reports are listed on top. At the bottom are dashboards. So there's a list of more than 10 dashboards which come pre-built. Some arbitrary dashboards are also created, which we have created for a testing purpose also. So for example, sales and 1, 2, 3, 4 are custom dashboards that we created. We'll just ignore them as of now for our demonstration purpose. So that when, okay, people might ask, okay, I don't see any dashboard viewer out here. There is nothing called by the name of a dashboard viewer. You simply open up the report section and then click on a particular dashboard. It will launch internally the dashboard viewer, which will be visible on the right hand side. So let's start off from the top with the inventory snapshot. Okay, so it opens up on the right hand side. You can just minimize the left hand pane out here, and let's select a particular warehouse as well as select a particular product group. The thing is, most of the product group may or may not have data because it's running from a, yeah, so this one has. So I've selected avenues under warehouse and I've selected books under product group, and it shows you on the right hand side under values in stock quantity and available quantity for all the products listed out under the product group books. If I pick up, let's say, try out any other category, yeah. So fashion accessory has a lesser number of product listing under itself. So you can see, obviously in stock and available is the same because the data is of that pertinent nature. So, okay. A simple viewpoint can be, okay, this report was already available because inventory snapshot is a primary consideration for managing your inventory in the whole organization as well as a warehouse in particular. The only thing that it gives me out here is gives the whole information in a visual format. This visual format can subsequently, if I can go to books, because out here under fashions and accessory everything is pretty uniform, whereas under books at least I got a spike under the list, which is the name of the book out here. So there are possibilities of exporting this data. I've opened up the question. I did not close the question. Was that it only shows me in a visual visually this whole setup, which might also be possible as of now in terms of comprehension in my CAN report. So what does it gives me? We will come back to that question. We will keep that question open. Okay. There are possibilities in dashboard viewer for visualizing the information that you have. You can also export this information. So if I click on this export, I can out here, it gives me export to PDF and export to image. If I click on export to PDF, it gives me the option of setting up the size and everything as well as the title, and I need to click on export button to give me up the system a placeholder. So I can go to the desktop and click on save, and it will save this particular dashboard view, which is basically this particular object which gives me a bar chart representation of inventory snapshot into a PDF. The second option that was available in terms of export was exporting to image. So when I click on exporting to image, it will give me the same possibilities of setting up a title, and then I click on an export and I can save it into a particular location. So this will be saved into a PNG or a JPEG or any other kind of format that you want to desire. It will be exported. Let's close this one and let's move out to the next one on the list, which is merchandising comparative sales. I've still not closed that question of, okay, Prashant, it sounds great in terms of that you have dumped out available quantity and stock quantity as visual representation, but it did not give me anything extra. We'll try to tackle it while we go into the dashboard designer phase, and we'll pick up this very existing dashboard and we'll try to modify it to possibly get more information from the data set that was visible as a bar chart. I'll just flip back for a second to the PPT. Okay, for pre-built and custom dashboards. Okay, there's something stated as user-wise restrictions by dashboards. Okay, what do we mean by that? So if I can go back to the management console and move on to the administration section, and we can go to the security role section and pick up administration role and edit and assign security rights. Then we can open reports. Many of you, since you are well versed in terms of iVend implementations and iVend actual usage, must have opened this section. Under report section, along with all the other pre-canned reports, you can set up security rights for dashboards also. You will just have to go ahead and search for those particular dashboard, like for example inventory snapshot dashboard. You can go ahead and provide read, update, or full rights. By default, everything is full, which is the same as any other reports present in iVend. So I'll just do a cancel out here. I won't like to make any changes as of now right here. So that was the view that you can restrict, as an if you have got the administrative rights on the system, to restrict by particular users or by role of which dashboards are available in full, partially. That means they can only view it, or they can update it, or you can certainly restrict particular user from not made the dashboards available for them while when they log on to the management console. Coming back to reports and coming back to the dashboards out there, let's move on to the next step. Okay, so then we go on to the dashboard web view. We'll take it up as a final point because it will the view will be the same. The only thing is that it will be available from a web browser rather than directly from the Windows application, which is the management console. Okay, so we looked on iVend snapshot, and we had a question mark for us that can we modify this particular dashboard further. We will take it up. Let's move on to okay, let's skip merchandise sales and look at sales in general as of now, and then we'll come back to merchandise sales later on. So let's start off with a simple sales dashboard, namely the sales gift certificates. I clicked on it, it opens up. On the right hand side there is a single store out here of which information is listed out by set of objects, by year, by quarter, by weekdays. You can simply place your cursors on any of the bar charts and any kind of any generic dashboarding or visual representation engine. It will give you the background information, the aggregated background information for that particular bar out there. At the bottom you've got month and daily gift sales certificate. Moving further on to promotions, see the same greenfield certificate as well as by different periods. And upsells, they are a generic in nature. I accept that. They are running off different data elements in terms of gift certificate, promotion, and upsells, but they provide the same visual viewpoint. That means you have got period sales by different period hierarchy: year, month, quarter, and daily sales. So maybe bottom performance might bring up something which is slightly different. Okay, as you can see that it's loading data source. Why it's happening is when you actually fire up a particular dashboard, the viewpoint is refreshed directly from the database engine. So it's actually making the query. As of now, when I opened up this particular dashboard, it was not previously open. It fired up a view at the back end. It collated the view collated the information and fed into this particular dashboard, which is visible as of now. A question can be, what if I want to create a dashboard? I'm just moving into the design phase as of now, but what if I want to create a dashboard and I don't have a view? The simple answer is you will have to create one, because when we open up this dashboard designer on the database side of things, or the data element side of things, we will have a set of views which basically generate the data which is possibly which is viewed through these different object elements visually on the front end. But you need to create a view. What you can possibly do is there are lots of views already created under iVend which are powering up these pre-built dashboards. An end user, if he or she wants to, can possibly pick up a view which caters to his or her requirements, and then possibly use them. So there are lots of views related to sales, net sales, and periodic sales, merchandise sales, inventory related, and so on and so forth, and as well as sales cursors and other dimensions. You can go ahead and pick them up and utilize them. Otherwise, you can possibly go ahead and create a duplicate of a view, and here SQL capabilities will obviously come in, that if you want to add dimensions measures filters or any kind of, let's say if you want to do a bucket analysis, then you will obviously will have to open a SQL Server management console and do the necessary SQL coding for that information, namely let's say a bucket analysis of account receivables aging for the front end to be powered up. Okay, so let's not confuse too much ourselves, and let's not get too pessimistic about that. There are enough views to cater to the most anticipated questions in terms of performance analysis, for which you might need to create a dashboard from scratch or want to modify an existing dashboard. Okay, so we clicked on sales bottom performance out here. Yeah. Okay, so you've got store-wise information, product information, salesperson information, customer group out here, as well as individual customers given out here. So let's move on. So it is a slightly different view from, and top performance will be the similar on the flip side. Let's click on contributions. Contribution, I am expecting another object, since we have typically seen only bar charts out here. Let's expect. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, yeah, that was it. I was expecting. Okay. General trend in dashboard designing or any kind of visual information design is that you use bar charts where you want to easily compare two or multiple data points. Like you want to compare multiple salespersons, you create a bar chart. What if you want to compare periods, you want to compare multiple months, you create a line chart. Bar chart are not the best representation, and you also get a decent trend if you use a line chart. If you want to get who contributes what in terms of vis-a-vis comparison, you use a pie chart or an area chart, like a block diagram or something. So here we used multiple pie charts to reflect on sales contributions out here. So you've got multiple points of sales. I pause out here. So this, as well as there is a pause without a name out here. Net product group wise, net sales with apparels being the majority contributor, and then shoes is the second one, and then health hygiene, books are very minuscule, as well as items, which looks like a generic placeholder for product group. You've got customer groups, so there is the single customer groups. Obviously, if you've got multiple customer groups like walk-in customers or corporate customers or Pearl customers, you can create those product as long as those customer groups are created under iVend, they will be reflected by their contribution. Product categories is also a single one out there. So what we have got out here is the designer has tried to encapsulate the major dimensions. Cost is a dimension, product group is a dimension, customer group is a dimension, category and salespersons are dimensions, and the designer has tried to create contribution analysis on top of that. Obviously, in certain cases, you might like to look at from a geography or certain, then obviously you can go ahead and change the particular dimensions or create a new dashboard by taking certain elements from this particular one. Okay, what if I want to look at information? Oh, it doesn't look like. Okay, everything is happening to the POS, which is with the name of point of sale. So let's move on to something else where I can showcase somewhere that I can select a filter. These are filters. There is a single store and there is a set of POS. Unlikely the other POSes are not contributing in terms of any kind of net sales because out here. So that's why when I selected mobile point of sale, it came out as a blank. Then top POS. Okay, it would be very similar to bottom. So let's take time. Okay, a simple question can be, okay, let's say my manager is has got a very high affinity to dashboard rather than canned reports or tabular reports. Then he will keep on toggling every hour, looking at the sales as of now, and looks like when you are displaying it that it queries every time. So what can I do about it? A simple answer can be that you need to upgrade your database system. Basically, put in more RAM, put in faster hard drives, because it will query. That is the basic difference between an integrated system which actually queries. There is no there is no warehouse being created at the back end which is actually facilitating the whole thing. That is maybe a flip point in this case, but obviously you are getting information which is real time. When I ran the query, it's actually executed the query at the SQL backend and provided that information. Compare it with our other offering, which is iView dashboard. You typically do a periodic, yes, you typically do a periodic data extractions. When we talk about iView dashboards, we typically do a periodic data extraction overnight, and for the next whole day, users are able to look at information going backwards in time, but it is some hours old because I ran it at 12 midnight. Whereas out here right now, we can actually look at information as of now. Okay, there's a question that has come up on the chat that how it works over internet browser. Yes, there is a component which is called a dashboard web viewer. We'll just wrap up these dashboard views under the integrated dashboard viewer under iVend management console, and we'll just move on to have a brief look at of how the things look and what do you require to have it available over the web. Okay, so let's move on to sales trend. So sales trend will obviously come up since it's a trend, and it will be a trend analysis. It will invariably have a line diagram, at least one line chart to reflect on. Yes, we have. So you've got sales, yearly sales analysis, quarterly sales analysis, weekdays, monthly sales, and daily sales for sales amount, net sales, as well as refund. As of here, if you can. Okay, I just want to look at this particular option which is available out here, which is dashboard parameters, which is given at the very top and is applicable to all these objects out here. Since we are looking at a trend analysis, it makes sense to illustrate this particular function also. So you got, I can restrict the data that is visible out here for basis from date and to date. The default dates are from start of this year, which is 1st of January, till present date, which is 11th of November. You can go ahead and change it. So let's say I want to look at only March data. I want to pick up March because I know that there might be some information on there. And up to, let's look at March to May. Let's look at March to May and May end and summit. So now the whole information reduces to look all the dashboard elements reduce to only showcase this particular time period, which is 1st of March to end of May out here. Simple question. Let's not confuse matters. All these dashboards are individual in nature. Whatever selection that I make out here on this particular dashboard will not affect any selections which you make on any other dashboard. They are not integrated in the sense that if you make one selection out here or you select a particular data point or particular period or particular product group, they will not affect. You will have to individually go ahead and make selections based upon what is available on a respective dashboard. Okay, so let's close these ones which are already open, and let's move on to the broad criteria which was merchandise sales out there. So let's look at simple merchandise sales to start off with. Obviously, there's a very simple merchandise hierarchy created in the system under Apple, and you have got a set of dashboards to facilitate analysis of the same. So under this very simplest of them, which is merchandise sales, you've got hierarchy out here, and you've got year, and you've got store. Obviously, in an actual scenario, you've got multiple of each and every one of them. On the right hand side, on the left hand side is a simple tabular report which you can go and drilling. So you go start off with ladies and then keep on clicking up to basically expand the whole report to the very end. And obviously you can go and extract this information into a PDF or as an image. On the right hand side you've got net sales with tax, and on the right, or a simple hierarchy contribution which is for Apple. Okay, it serves my purpose, but let's look at something. Okay, yeah, right. I want to drill down, so I can go ahead and drill down using. Okay, so looks like men's Ralph Lauren suit is the basic drill out here. Okay, and if I want to go up, okay, I can use the drill up button to go back to the very top, which is Apple. So this has got a slightly different take on a contribution pie chart, where we have created a drill of hierarchy which is available out here, and you can start off with since there is a single hierarchy which is called April, and you can drill down. That way just shown that you click on April to go to the next level, and you can look at men's or ladies wear. So if I click on ladies wear, it has got a single element which is casual, and bottoms and so on and so forth. And you can use the drill up button which is on the caption to go back up the drill. Okay. Right, moving, so that was merchandise sales. If you want to look at same information, but you want to look at from a period perspective, you have got another report which gives you monthly data. So if I want to look at September, or you want to look at November, obviously the data does not carry that much transaction, so that's why you have got a limited viewpoint. You want to Okay, most of the caption elements of export is very much clear. Here there is something which is on the filter list that you can clear the master filter. So every filter element which is on a list view has got a master filter out here, and you can clear it by simply clicking on the clear button individually. There is not a generic clear button, but you have to individually clear out by clicking on individual master filters which are available typically on the left hand side, but during designing you can place it anywhere. You can even place it on the right or on the top side. So that was merchandise sales and merchandise monthly sales. Top 10 sellers. Okay, so very simple report, September, November, and in a descending order you can look at a hierarchy. So the hierarchy would have been more elaborate. You could have up till the 8th level, which is possible, which is I think the 15th level. You can have the same report up till the 15th level by all the possible months out here, and you can go ahead and filter it from the left hand side. It only carries 214 data for a couple of months, but if you got multiple months, you can go ahead and select okay. Then comparative sales. Let's do this. So comparative sales is here with some trickery on the property side. What we're showing simultaneously is current month and previous month sales. So okay, you can ask that okay, what do you mean by current month? We are in November. The data is for some some periods. So it will automatically reflect on the last available month and then look at that particular month and the previous month's sale. And obviously on the right hand side you can go ahead and filter. So a simple identifier, even if it's not visible on the caption name itself, is whether it's a drill or not, is that if you've got a drill down button or basically no, drill down is how you do it by clicking on it. Basically a drill up button, if it's available on the caption side, that means you've got drillable down dimensions available on that particular pie chart or any other kind of a chart outlet. So this report gives you comparative sales for current month versus previous month and the variance thereof for merchandise hierarchy. Okay, is the same thing, but not by month, but basically by year. And then promotional sales, if there are any promotional sales by the merchandise hierarchy, they are also visible out here in this particular report. So this basically wraps up in terms of an overview. I can't give you, because since these are dashboards and the typical case comes up, that in terms of transaction you can have elaborate a lot of time in terms of actually getting into nuances of each and every possibility. But here it's actually visual data which is running out of a data set which you have to then consume and then possibly make decisions. So in terms of allocating time into actually looking at that dashboard, we can keep on elaborating, but we will only reiterating the points which is already visible, that as long as there is data, as long as there is enough information, there are certain pre-built dashboards which gives you broad overview in terms of sales, in terms of inventory, and in terms of merchandise sales hierarchy, that you can start off with consuming that particular information from a visual perspective. Now, the question that came up was, was that how do you visualize the same information from the web? Now, there are certain mood points in terms of which will come up to it. Simply put, this is how you do it. When you got iVend Business Edition is configured for a particular client, and if they have purchased the dashboard web viewer licenses, then they can go ahead and for those particular sets of users can open up through a simple URL. Here I'm running it from localhost. It can be HTTP, the machine name, and then iVend report viewer, which will take me to this particular viewpoint, where on the left hand side on the top you got a list of dashboard, the same very dashboard that we have already seen as of now. So if you can go back to the very first one that we saw out there, which was inventory snapshot, and click on show. Okay. I think that session expired while we were talking, so let's log in again. I'm logging with the same credentials that I logged on to the management console, and I clicked on login. Okay, inventory snapshot, and then let's click on show. Okay. Whoa. Okay, I think it took up that particular request and it was trying to populate, but I clicked on twice on the show button, so it had generated the viewpoint and was gone ahead and displayed, but then the next request, which was in queue, started getting processed. Yeah, so we're back with a similar view that we had on the desktop application, which was under the management console, and if I click on books again, I'll get the same view. Okay. So okay, so coming back to that, okay, that tells you very simply that there is a particular URL. As long as you have got license enable for iVend dashboards web viewer configured for particular users. Those users can open up this particular URL and then visualize the same information which is available from their desktop application viewpoint directly in a web browser. Certain consideration to be made. Obviously, there is a need for a license. Now, let's talk about license in general. Let's move back to the PPT out here. Dashboard viewers, which is the top item, are available for everybody. They are even available for the community editions users of iVend POS. Whereas dashboard web viewer are licensed per user. So when the client goes ahead and purchases iVend POS system for themselves, they will have to buy dashboard web viewer depending upon the number of users that they have envisioned will have access to the web viewer functionality, and license and they will have to get license for the same. Another caveat out here is runs only of iVend enterprise data, whereas dashboard web viewer, if you are running store and you can open management console for store, you can have possibility of looking at dashboards under that view also, whereas dashboard web viewer only fetches data only from iVend enterprise data set. It has been done by design because the typical users will be middle to top management users for a dashboard web viewer, and they will like to look at information holistically. That means for the whole enterprise. Obviously, you can put in filters like we have seen under the preprint dashboard, that you can select a particular store and look at its information under merchandising sales or general sales sales in general. But it typically won't be a particular requirement for a store-wise, even a manager or a supervisor to have access to a web viewer. So dashboard web viewer only works off iVend enterprise data set. That is the database which powers up the enterprise management console. Okay. So dashboard, to recap, dashboard web viewer is available for all. It's even available under the community edition, whereas a web viewer is only available under the business edition, and the client will have to pay by user, by individual user, and get a license for the same. For the functionality to be enabled. In terms of enabling this functionality, is pretty straightforward. If you've got the admin rights, you open up human resource section under employees, and let's pick up, let's say, manager, and go under edit. So for example, for this particular user, dashboard designing, obviously which we'll get into, dashboard designing is enabled, as well as dashboard web viewer is enabled. And when we check on this, it will check back with the available licenses on this iVend system, and then will either allow or will not allow this particular options to go ahead. So for example, if you've got 10 users which are at a manager level in the enterprise, and you've got only 5 web viewer licenses, and all 5 of them have already been exhausted, then subsequently either somebody will have their license revoked for a new user to be enabled with web viewer functionality out there. Okay, just to cancel out here since it's already enabled for this particular individual. And let's close out on the dashboard. So what we have looked in a brief overview, because since we are not looking at transactions per se, but only looking at information which is pre-generated and we are looking at reports or dashboards against them, is that we have got iVend, which has got an integrated dashboard engine. We have got a set of people dashboards. There are 2 options of looking at this information, namely the dashboard. One is through the dashboard viewer, which is integrated directly into the management console, and the second is the web viewer. Dashboard viewer is available to everybody, whereas the web viewer is available only to the paid up licensees of template viewer, which is by per user licensing. Okay, then moving further on to, okay, so we've already looked at preview dashboards. You can view the dashboards. You can filter data by selecting from the filter list that is available, and you can export the information. Okay, let's look at dashboard designer. Let's just open up HR again and HR section again, and pick up manager again and look at edit section, and you can see that for this particular user through which I'm logged in currently, the dashboard designing is also enabled. Now, in terms, let's take up that particular issue which we were discussing related to web viewer in terms of licensing. Dashboard designer is also a license component, but you need not have you do not need that. Basically, the client does not need individual licensing per user. So, if they have purchased the licensing licenses, any user, as long as the administrator allows it, can have dashboard designer functionality against them. The control is obviously in the human resource section. So let's go back to the report section and open up dashboard designer. Okay. Out here you can see on the right hand side a list of reports, list of dashboards actually, which are pre-built. So whatever was visible under the dashboard tree is listed out here. We can go ahead and basically delete them, but what I will like to do that. We can go ahead and edit them. We can create a new dashboard from scratch. So what we will do is we will do two things. We are at, I think, the 50 minutes mark right now. So let's, I think there is enough time to take this up. So what we'll do is, there was a question that was asked, which was inventory snapshot. That, okay, it looks like a very decent report, but it does not give me anything to be jazzed about. So let's go ahead and edit this report and maybe like to make some changes to that. So let's give some breathing room to work on with. Okay, now this interface is very much different from a dashboard viewer. Obviously, it will be. It is the development environment for a dashboard. Actually, when our design team, which works on iVend builds and actual iVend releases, has used the same very interface to actually create all these pre-built dashboards. There is no separate dashboard designing engine which works out of a desktop environment. This is the very same environment that we actually have used to build up these pre-built dashboards. So you can see on the right hand side that there are okay. Right, I just stopped because it looked like that we had some network issues for a few seconds. Okay, carrying on. So this is the dashboard design environment out here. Under dashboard designer, I clicked on our particular report, namely the inventory snapshot, and brought this report up. You can see that there is some list out here. There are some certain data elements out here, and on the right hand side is actually what you see on the dashboard here. On the top hand, there is a ribbon bar for home, data sources, view, data design, and else. Since we are directly working under iVend integrated environment, the data source is invariably collected, so you don't have to do much in terms of actually connecting to anything. It's already connected. What is available will be setting up parameters and setting up filters, which we get into when we proceed with the exercise. So let's move to the home first. On the left hand side, on the very top, is a list. Now this is the list of views on the system. They are already created under the iVend retail database that is installed on this particular system, which since we are running everything locally, and this particular analysis is running off a particular, let's do a cancel and let's click on back again. So it's running off a particular view which was inventory snapshot out here, which has got warehouse names, and these are the are the elements that come out of that view. So there are certain dimensions, namely product group, warehouse name, and everything, down to the down to warehouse ID and warehouse name. Whereas the last three, one of them are measures. Now dimensions. Let's reiterate the point. Dimensions are something that you want to visualize data against. Measures is something for which you want to visualize data for. For example, available quantity, you want to look at available quantity against warehouse. So a warehouse is the dimension, available quantity is the measure. So here I have put in column name as warehouse name. Since I'm clicked on this particular object, let's click on this particular. So my data items are changed against inventory snapshot. Arguments are product names, so product names will come out here, whereas values, which are in stock and available quantity, by the universal aggregator called sum, will be under the values under PL1. Okay. Whereas if you look at this particular object, which is a list under the grid which is called a grid out here, has got warehouse name as a column. Whereas if you click on the bottom one, it has got product name as a column out here. So let's not play around with this then. Let's create another object. Simplest object which is easily understandable is a pivot. So I clicked on pivot, it gave me a blank pivot. Now what I can do is I can add for values columns and hidden data dimension. We'll come back to hidden data dimension later on. So I want to create a report by product group. So I add product group to rows. It's very simple to understand. I want rows to go, product group to be visible on the row side, and I want to look at and subsequently product name. So I add to the second level in terms of rows, and then subsequently I want to look at only the available quantity. I'm not interested in stock quantity. I want to look at available. I will place it under values. So look at this particular pivot table, which is called pivot one out here. It has got apples, which is the product group available, and then under that you have got product names, and then as a columnar value you got available quantity, which is aggregated to the top level. Now I want to make certain changes. Let's rename it as, okay, what should we rename it as? Inventory, or let's make certain changes. Let's put it as available inventory table, and values are available quantity sum. If I want to take that sum out also, I can go
This is not the correct one. This is available quantity first row, right?
So no. I want to look at only by product group. I'm not interested in looking at by warehouse. We'll just add warehouse. We can edit it later on also. So values, I only want to have it as available quantity, and I want a space to go ahead between available and quantity out here. So total available quantity total is visible out here. Some goes out. So it's a very simple tabular report. Okay, there was a suggestion, why can't we add warehouse also into that? Very simple. You put in warehouse name out here. So what happens is, now this report is now apparel, which is the product group, then the product, and then subsequently that availability of that particular product by warehouse. Now you can flip it also in the sense that you want to precede warehouse first and then the product name, and want to add product group subsequently. Okay, how do I undo? I simply click on this button. So my original hierarchy in terms of display by rows is now reverted back into. So this is a very simple tabular report. It does not do anything spectacular. It just gives me an available inventory warehouse. Okay, let's try something different. Let's try a contribution report. What is the best way to show a contribution? Let's try a pie chart. So I clicked on a pie chart. It gives me a pie chart out here, which is a blank right now, because against that, all the data items as well as all the other possible values are 0 out there. Let's put it as warehouse wise available quantity. Okay, a simple report which gives me warehouse wise available quantity both for those two warehouses. Okay, and let's not do it by available. So how do I remove it? I can simply drag and drop back to the list of all the possible measures and dimensions, and let's do the same report by product. Yeah, now it makes sense. So this is a pie chart, and let's rename it also. So go to edit names and do a simple available QTY pie. And done. So let's do an OK. We made the changes. Let's say you mess the whole thing up. You try to do something, you try to modify an existing report or want to create a report. You can simply click on the cancel button and everything will go away. Just keep on canceling till you get back to the dashboard designer initial interface. But since we want to commit this, so let's do an OK, and let's do an inventory. Just keep it as inventory snapshot out here. So it's basically writing back, and since we are on the web viewer again, so let's see, I want to look at this inventory snapshot and I want to rerun this report. So I made the changes on the management console, which was the desktop environment, and I'm running this report from the web report viewer. So let's see how things pan out. We are running the very same report. That was the inventory snapshot, which was the pre-built report. We added 2 objects against an existing view. The view provided me enough information to make those modifications. Let's say if I wanted to find out something which was not available in that particular view, then obviously we'll have to fire up the SQL Server management console, either go ahead and modify that existing view or create another view which can serve our purpose, and then that view will become available to us to be a source for a dashboard. Okay, it's running right now. So while it runs, let's check back on the management console and let's do a cancel and a very quick check whether okay, in case the chart size will be slip out. Okay, so right, possibly we need to select a product group. Let's select books out here. So there are lots of books. Okay, so here is the quandary of modifying or creating a new dashboard is that you will have to try out certain things. Like for example, there are maybe hundreds of products in the system already available. So you will have to identify to what level of aggregation in terms of dimension you want to look at data. Here I try to create a product pie by the baser level, which is the product. If I had created the same thing by a product group, maybe things would have been a lot more easier or a lot more palatable in terms of what has been displayed out here. I have to select books and then make sense of these number of books which are available in terms of. So let's do a close out there. Let's go back to the designer and also check back whether that particular. Let's close this and check back whether the report actually came up on the review. Okay, it's still running. Okay, let's give it its time to run. Let's go back to the inventory snapshot and go ahead and edit there. Click on design dashboard. Okay, so the interface comes up for designing. Okay, simple question can be asked is why did not it show the same clutter while we were designing? Because because while you are designing, it does not rolls up all the data. It basically do a top something, a top 10, a top 100 for its own suitability, so that the designer is able to handle this data and actually go ahead with the main object, which is designing the dashboard. If you want to reload the whole data into this, then you have to click on reload data, which is the button given out here, and then the system will reload everything and then display the same. Okay. Now I have asked it to reload the whole of data set, so it will take its own time. Okay, and this is still not reloading, so it's basically running against the database set, which is the SQL Server running on the system for the web view. So let's kill this whole process. iVend report viewer. Yeah. So this came up, and you can see now the whole list is populated out here. So previously there was a single apparel and nothing else. Currently we've got the same view, which we have seen under the dashboard viewer when we ran that report, and it fetched everything out there. Increase the chart size to be its layered. So basically, with giving this particular chart. Okay, if anybody has got questions right now, while we are trying to fix up this the mess that we created with this particular dashboard, you can basically go ahead and maybe write on the chart interface itself. Is the best. So what we are trying to do is, rather than putting a product name out here, what we have decided is that I think maybe the product group will be a decent level to actually look at this data. Now this particular object has gone off the boil because it is not getting enough space to display. So okay, table, you go out. How do you go out? You simply right click on it and click on delete. Okay, still an useful exercise to look at of how to maybe create, modify, edit, or even mess up an existing dashboard. So in the end, what we are left with is a pie chart as a non-functioning product inventory. Okay, we can go ahead and possibly drop this pie and then possibly things. So maybe the designers had put in a single object because that chart needed its own visual area for it to be populated. Obviously, what you can do is you can simply, rather than what we try to do is create pick up an existing object and mess with it. There is another possibility under the dashboard designer. So let's open this, which is that you can pick up an inventory snapshot or any other report. Let's say a simple report like a sales trend, and you can do a copy. So what it will do is to give it the name of here, sales trend copy out here. Just copy the same one at the bottom and do an OK. So there is another report which is exactly the same report, and I think the best way going forward in an actual scenario will be to make a copy and then go ahead and try to modify it. Okay, so that is done. We are at local 1:45 p.m. So let's do a very quick, and I've been asked to wrap this up, but let's do a 5-minute new a creation of a new dashboard from scratch. Okay, let's keep it as test sales. Sales test. I think this should work. Okay, right. So sales text comes up. Now click on edit and open up the design dashboard. So now what it does is it's open a blank everything. Now I need to identify what I need to populate. So I want to do a very simple sales analysis. I want to do a now think about what all dashboards you have seen. You've seen most of the things which might be suitable for answering questions by the business user. You have not seen everything pertinent related to salesperson. So what we can do is we can create a salesperson dashboard. So let's start off with a simple pie chart to start off with. It seems to be my favorite right now. So let's click on salesperson total as a value and salesperson as an argument. So it gives me a very simple pie chart. We can go ahead and obviously change the name of the pie chart and do everything with it. We can also do a simple bar chart report on the very same, or a pivot report on the same. So we can go ahead and click on pivot, add certain values. So add on the row side salesperson, add business date, and business date is by year. So you can see that the system is intelligent enough that business date, which will invariably by year, month, date standard in the system, in the view or in the backend database, it has already aggregated to a certain extent. So I will be getting the information by year, and let's add meaning to this whole thing by adding values out here. If I don't want to look at it by year, but I want to look at it by month, simply click on it and you get the same information from month. You want to look at the same information to the maximum amount of detail, which is day, month, year, the same is available out here. So under, I'll say 2 seconds, we created a new dashboard for salesperson. So you've got contribution, you've got transactional analysis. Now this view might not serve the whole purpose because it's only getting sales. Maybe it's not getting salesperson refund. So what we can go is fire up SQL Server. There is a view which supports this particular dashboard called salesperson. Open up that view, edit it. Obviously, certain minimum criteria for SQL understanding will be required. Go ahead, add refunds, add quantities, add any other measure that you want. You can add product groups also. So if you want to do salesperson product group analysis, you can go ahead and provide that particular information. Now here, what it is okay. I think that this particular salesperson only works on a single point of sale, which is called point of sale. So no point in. So let's take this thing out and make it very simple out here. So the object was that in under 2 minutes we were able to do. We were able to create a table, a chart, and a very simple top of the line salesperson dashboard. Obviously it might not serve all the purposes, but like I said, for that particular reason you have to go ahead and edit this view and then subsequently come back to the dashboard designer and add more objects to go ahead and enunciate this whole layout. Okay, certain other design elements like, okay, let's add cards out there. So I added a card. I added no, it might not work because we have got a single measure out here. So actual will come as actual. Okay, so simple card, salesperson total sum is this, and let's add a grid. So grid gets added out there, and let's add a single salesperson. So there are 2 salesperson out there. Let's put single master filter. Okay, now here I can go ahead and do all this which was available out there. So what I did was I added from the top, I added a grid. I added salesperson to the columns which are available in that. You can actually create have multiple dimensions in the same grid also, but the typical usage pattern is to have a single dimension like a salesperson in a single grid, and then go ahead and go to the data tab and add single master filter. So I can't go ahead and select both of them, but what I can select and as both of them, but what I can do is I can possibly multiple master. Now I can, when I click on multiple master filter, I can go ahead and select I can filter everything out, and now currently since I have not selected anything, so both Kenneth and store are selected out here. This is a card. This is a best way to display rather than using this element, which is a text box, and create something expression in there. Simply use a card, set the particular column parameter, and then be done with it. So it's basically did a summation of a salesperson total sum, and then so here we have displayed pie chart, salesperson chart, and let's do a simple we are running out of space actually. So let's get rid of this chart as well as maybe keep the grid to a minimum and then work on this chart. So let's do a salesperson wise. No, maybe a business A analysis by arguments and by day, month, year, and salesperson total and up. So okay, there is not much data on the system. Can it store? Maybe because I've chosen the wrong chart type. So I can go ahead and delete it, create the chart again, create the chart again, create the chart again by business date and day, month, year, and on top give salesperson total, and then basically go ahead and pick up a chart type which is more suitable, maybe a line chart, and then press. Okay, I need to press OK out there, which is somewhere down at the bottom. So I clicked on OK, so it gives me, yeah. So and now just keep these two somewhere here. Yes. Now here. So we have got Kenneth's stores. Store has got one single data point, whereas Kenneth has got at least certain data set. So, and maybe if we can bring this up and do a month and a year analysis, yeah, now it makes sense. So for Kenneth, obviously salesperson total pivot has totally been squeezed up because there is not much space. Okay, now the thing is, somebody who gets into actual database dashboard designing will have to put in effort. Like we said, in 2 minutes we were able to create a contribution and a simple pivot chart for salesperson analysis. But when we try to put in throw more things on the same interface, then you have to think about what needs to be visible, what needs to be thrown out, how it should be visual, what are screen elements should be present, how they are displayed, which gets the priority, which gets shoved down the pecking order. So then the whole process of actually building up a specification of what needs to be shown and how it's shown comes to the fore. Simply putting up a very crude and a very simple but effective new dashboard is very easy. You create a single object and put in that information. But if you want to have a single compendium, a single snapshot which has got multiple elements for sales, for inventory and everything, then an effort needs to go in, which can take maybe multiple days or even weeks even in terms of iterations and in terms of work put in. So that's give you an overview of dashboard in terms of their integration into iVend. We looked at iVend dashboard viewer, the web viewer. The web viewer is exactly the same thing. The only thing is that the licensing is slightly different, as well as it gives an interface on the web. So, for example, a simple usage point will be if the client so requires, the system can be put on a static IP and the whole thing can be populated and be visible from the net also. Whereas management console is obviously a Windows application and somebody needs to do a VPN if they want to access that information remotely. So that's a usage point. And lastly, dashboard designer, where we took a existing dashboard, we changed it, and then subsequently tried to, in very few minutes, I think we have not spent more than 5 minutes on this particular dashboard, of putting a salesperson dashboard, a very crude salesperson dashboard from scratch. So that's basically concludes today's session. The feedback is solicited, as well as in terms of improvement of the content as well as the presentation. and we are open to that, and you can directly write to us, or you can collate and send it across to me. My ID is prashant.sharma@cityaccess.com, and thank you guys, thank you for your time, and that's it. Okay, just if any filling questions or something which might got missed or which got skipped over or was done in a hurry, there are still a few minutes to actually handle that. We did overrun by a certain, yeah, we did overrun by at least 15 minutes time period. Okay, the PPT. Yeah, obviously we can send across the PPT. It's very crude. I will. It just covers the bare bones of the functionality. Yeah, one point that I missed out was that. Okay, what I covered was in terms of actually dashboard designing, because viewing is obviously it's basically consume what is already available. Is that if you want to actually get into dashboard designing for a particular prospect of a particular existing client or a project, is that you should refer to the iVend POS documentation, that is the CHM. It has got a section, very elaborate sections created with great pains by Santosh at City Access, where it details each and every object, the functionality, how to use it. So maybe I might not have covered what does an argument actually should mean or something. Just go through the documentation. It gives you in very great detail. Did you show where to edit SQL on the dashboard designer? No, you don't actually edit the SQL on the dashboard designer. You edit it in SQL Server Management Console from out here. SQL Server Management Console. Where do you edit the SQL? It's not the SQL editing capability is not available in iVend. The views which are present for the database that is powering up this iVend Enterprise Management Console obviously will be available on the database side of things. Let us just log into that and open up. So this is the database. We are running a demonstrator database to power up this demonstration, and under the heading views is the list of views. Okay, so all the dashboard as well as other reports also, the canned reports, are powering off these particular views. The views which are directly related to the dashboard has got a prefix of VW Analytics to make them easily identifiable. So you can see that there is a salesperson view out here. If we can just open up into the design mode. Design. Yeah. We're just opening up under design mode. Let me just take. Yeah. So yeah. Here is the salesperson view, which we had tried to access and create that salesperson dashboard. So you can see that we had, yeah, these are the measures. You got descriptions and everything, and business date as well as and the salesperson total. So let's say our thought process was that if you want to add, let's say, quantity or refund value against that salesperson, then you will have to go ahead, work on this view, save it, and then subsequently the same will be available to be the engine, the data engine for that salesperson dashboard. Okay, there is a question, is there any promotion bonus by list report on the dashboard? Okay, there is actually a promotion. Let's close this. Let's do a cancel. Let's do a cancel. Let's, okay. There is a promotion dashboard. Oh dear, let's leave the merchandise part of this. Yes, sales promotion. There is, but okay, but I think the problem out here is on this particular data set there is not much data, as well as there is no promotional description available on this particular dashboard. So it's a very simple dashboard of net sales versus promotional sales analysis by different periods, by year, quarter, and so on and so forth. There is no subsequent level of looking at those promotional sales by their individual descriptions. One point was that can we have the PPT? Yes, I can make it available, and I'll use V. Rajesh to facilitate that. It's a very crude PPT. I think the best the best starting point will be if you want to actually go ahead and want to design your own dashboard or want to modify, just open up the iVend POS documentation and look up the dashboard designer section. It gives you a detailed understanding in terms of what all elements are available, how to configure them to make a very presentable and deployable dashboard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prashant, for that quick overview and the complete detailed demonstration on the dashboard reporting. All right, everyone. That's it for today's presentation. Thank you so much for your precious time to share with us, and we would definitely be sharing these presentations with the participants. You can feel free to email us on the listed email address, which I'm writing on the chat window, so that we'll be happy to send you the presentation that we have provided today. On top of it, in case you have any queries or any related questions for the dashboard, you can feel free to send your queries to the knowledge portal, and on top of it, you can send your queries to us directly on our email addresses. So we would be happy to serve you with any queries that you have. So thank you so much. Have a great day.